Hello and welcome to the final week of Swiss for the Null Winter 2022 Amazon University Esports Overwatch 2 Campus Clash. My name is Jace. I'll be your play-by-play for tonight. Joining me on colour is Latark.
Hello. I'm Latark. There's nothing much more to that. Tank player.
Fair enough. Well, Latark, we've got 2 games tonight for stream, haven't we? Overwatch 2.
Yes, we do.
Overwatch has been revived from the dead, Mercy Resurrection style. We've got the
not old Resurrection style though.
No, oof, God, no. Please, yeah, don't give me trauma. I do not want that. Oh, I hate that old res. But yeah, we've got Royal Bears and University of Kent. So, but the Royal Bears being the high seed, going to pick our control map. They get choice, and then from there we will do losers pick until we get to first 2-3 best of 5. And as I said, it's the final week of Swiss. So I think for a lot of these teams tonight, particularly around the seedings for both of these universities, it's win or go home. If you win, you basically book your ticket to playoffs top 16.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the standings, Royal Bears are quite safely in the center of those standings, but every team that we're going to see playing tonight has 21 points. And so a win or a loss can be the reason why you're in or out of playoffs right now. And you don't really want to be out of playoffs, do you? So, yeah, big stakes on the game here. And, should hopefully be going in to a nice control map first, picked by Royal Bears. And I believe they have chosen Ilios as their first map, which is a lovely, beautiful map, and especially with the new lighting, it's looking to be even brighter. You know, you're going to be able to run around that map, and it's like evening time, isn't it? I think that's where it's changed to, and it was daytime before. But yeah, interested to see what Royal Bears might be coming out with their strategies. Obviously, we've seen a lot of Overwatch League recently, with the playoffs just finishing and the grand finals, and yeah. I mean, in that, we saw a lot of the Winston comp in that meta. And at the moment, I don't believe we're playing on the same patch as that. So it's very possible we see that Zarya or Diva meta coming out. And yeah, interested to see what kind of strategies these teams will run out on, whether it's that Winston rush or whether they're going to go into the more Zarya and Diva Brawly comps.
Yeah, I wonder, with playoffs patch looming, basically coming in tomorrow, we shall see Kiriko a bit on the rise recently, and has been played to, various degrees of success by Overwatch League teams, but mostly so effective is that Kitsune rush and the ability for that really high tempo, high pace engage. But Zarya still being very strong. I feel like you want to play more around that Zarya, more so when you play DPS. You play around that Kiriko. The Kiriko and the Zarya themselves don't really match up. When you play the Zarya, you have to play for your Zarya. You need a frontline DPS with it. You need a Reaper. You need a Genji to be able to put those projected bubbles on, so she's not the one taking all the space with those bubbles, and then the punish will come through once they expire. And for Kiriko, as I said, you're more playing around your DPS. You want to be something like a Winston and a Lucio.
Like you were saying, you pointed out Kiriko. There's also Sojourn. Sojourn has been a massive staple. One of the characters that isn't getting a nerf, quite controversially, in the upcoming patch. But Sojourn, very, very powerful DPS character at the moment, and I wouldn't be surprised seeing both of these teams coming out and abusing that railgun, abusing that rate of fire, and just her all-out damage. And great map control as well with the slide and the slow abilities. She's able to zone using the slow and take high ground using her slide. It's just a really, really nice kit. I love to watch a bit of Sojourn play, and all through Overwatch League. Since Sojourn was released, we've seen Sojourn being played.
Yeah, Sojourn has been a staple across Overwatch League and high-level competition since the release of Overwatch 2 and even lower to the general masses and everyone else in the below tiers. Sojourn's so strong. Railgun charge, 100 energy to the body. It does 125, 130. That's enough to then collapse with a dive, something like a D.Va, a Winston, or a Genji. And I think she's going to get even better once the nerfs come in as well. One of the main contest points for her was Genji, was D.Va. And I mean, they're both being gutted. I think Genji unfairly being gutted. To be honest, how Sojourn is escaping a nerf is completely illegal by the Blizzard balance team. I think that's so disgusting that she's not been nerfed. But we could see a Sojourn diff coming in here. And well, both of these teams, they're rolling out on this rush composition. It's been called the banana rush at some levels of play because of the Winston.
I've never heard that, but I like that. I like banana rush. We're going to be sticking with that for the rest of this match, watching them go in. Yeah, like you say, it's the rush match. It's also a mirror match. They're both playing completely the same compositions. And like with the Winston's new poke as well, just allows to build up extra ult charge.
Yeah, that right click is going to be so good, but the Lucio Royal Bears getting caught early on the pillars of Ilios here as we are in the ruins. No Widowmaker because the Winston and the Reaper are just too strong. And there we go. It's the Reaper of Orange Bears. Orange trying to vie for the front line. Both bubbles going down now. And this is where the front lines can really clash into each other. The point actually comes in the flip early for Royal Bears. So now University of Kent, they're going to have to respond. That's the kill onto the Winston. Ketamine go down 5v4. I think actually I got it wrong. They flip. Looks like the flip comes in for the University of Kent. So my apologies, but the fight is still going. And all the meantime, this point is still slowly being ticked up by the University of Kent.
Yeah, a nice clean fight from Kent, and they did take the point early. That was kind of what won them the fight. They had that early point cap. They had that forward position, and really put a lot of pressure upon Royal Bears. And whether they were actually able to walk forward. See Katara here with that 100 energy on that railgun charge. One headshot here can literally end a fight.
I absolutely can. The Wraith forced early, though it's not good because they want to go in, and Orange sees the opportunity perfectly. 3 go down to the Death Blossom through that Kitsune rush. Haza went first on that Kitsune, on that Kiriko, but great response from the Death Blossom. That's exactly what you want. And they're just going to keep that fight and cleaned it up so quick.
Yeah, Kitsune Rush comes out early from Royal Bears there from Haza, and really nice response from Orange, just going on that little bit of a flank, dropping the Death Blossom into the backline, and just bursting down 3 players. Really well played. And now you're going to see a Kitsune Rush coming out from the other side.
Yeah, there we go. Now it is the time for Alice to come in with her own Kitsune rush. They find the perfect pick onto the Sojourn. That is no one-tap potential. When you go down early in these fights, you really need your Sojourn to land a massive railgun. Not possible, because they've now been taken down 80% on the board. It's a response Death Blossom, but it only finds 1. Not the 3 of last fight, but the Lucio means they are grounded. They are stuck. They are unable to safely retreat. Alice going to take themselves a quick dip into the warm waters of Ilios below the Greek Isles. A nice, refreshing bath. And as Royal Bears, they stay in it, and they finally manage to get the flip.
Yeah, and Royal Bears are really not looking bad in this situation. They have both the beat and the overclock here coming into this next fight, and they are at 93% on this point. They need one more fight win to be able to take this point and take the first round, really, because 93% is going to be really hard to contest.
It is all they need. One fight win. Royal Bears have to go flawless here. It's a great start onto the Reaper. Let's see if they try and punish and try and overextend, but I don't think so. They're just gonna chill and control this high ground. Nice little play from Spankle just to keep this rune fully occupied by the Winston.
Yeah, and there's the engage coming through. Nice quick engagement from Kentamine here.
Yeah, Kentamine going in for the pick on to Katara. Nice as Sojourn goes down the sound barrier from Royal Bears, goes in, but the overclock is popped by the Sojourn, finding Spankle on that Winston. They are down, no tank. The flip coming in, inevitably numbers over for the side of University of Kent. They're on the point, but the rival overclock goes in as well. This is a very intense fight. Remember, 99, Kentamine just need to get the flip, and they've got it.
Yeah, and I mean, this is such a scrappy fight here. I mean, Kent are really, really fighting for it, and they've got ults to be able to invest soon. There's that Death Blossom coming out, but the kills are still going the way of Royal Bears here, and it does look like Royal Bears will be able to keep hold of this point.
The flip comes in though, just at the last second. Numbers still being up for the side of Royal Bears. The sound barrier going to keep them so healthy. Great pick onto Orange as the Reaper goes down. Toxic finds it with that railgun headshot. Finds another one, this time not on the head, but onto the body of the Lucio. Ethan falls too, and that's got to be the S key. Kentamine slowly, their time bank is being drained to 85 now. It's last fight territory.
Yeah, this is a really well played from Royal Bears. They managed to pull it back, managed to bring the, and that was a really scrappy fight as well that they managed to turn around.
Yes, absolutely. It's been a really scrappy fight, but Kentamine look to come here with 2 picks in the open now. 5v3 situation as they get the flip. They go onto the point. They don't play too aggressive. Then they force Royal Bears to come to them, clean them up one by one. It got a bit scrappy. University of Kent sweating a bit there at the end, but nice 2 picks in the neutral. Ultimate advantage as well coming in the early fights. And it looks like University of Kent, they're going to score themselves first blood here any second now.
Yeah, and some little attempt at heroics there from Ray right at the end on the Reaper, but yeah, unfortunately, just not going to be able to get anything. And well played from Kent there to be able to take that point back, but also really good respect to Royal Bears. They managed to keep hold of that point for the majority of that fight of that point. Sorry. And yeah, that especially that last fight, they did a really, really good job of keeping hold of the point and keeping the fight scrappy and keeping like each other alive and staying alive and getting picks from the other side. Just a war of attrition, really, that they managed to take away. And in mirror comps, it just shows your skill when you go into a war of attrition on how well on which team comes out the other side and how well they'll come out.
Yeah, absolutely. London Spitfire support Landon recently described this one as a hive mind, and absolutely it is. It is about all being on the same page and going for that same target focus. Your Reaper is the core of your composition outside of the picks that Katara and Toxic can get on those Sojourns. As is going to go in the early dive, the tank, the Winston for Kentamine taking up so much space, but the bubble expires, means they have to fall back. But luckily, they're just going to sit inside Shack here. But they don't sit for too long as Ethan goes down. The Reaper trade, though, is massive for the University of Kent now. Orange can really flex their muscles. There's no one to contest them in a straight front to back, all about this Reaper. Losing their Winston, though, is not good. They split. Alice also taking another dip off the map. They're just done a quick reset. Katara going down late, too. They found the first pick on the Reaper, but they didn't manage to convert. University of Kent dropped the ball a bit there, and Royal Bears get the first flip here.
Yeah, nice little first fight for Royal Bears here. They took a long fight. They waited for the right engage. They didn't try and force the engagement, which I feel like that's the problem. Oh, nice early pick there as well. Katara going down. But yeah, as I was saying, Kent just really went for a really eager early engage and didn't wait for the perfect opportunity. And I mean, once they lost the Lucio, Kent were kind of left high and dry. And I mean, you said about the Reaper, but realistically, the Lucio as well, without that speed boost, you're just going to get ran on even easier.
And speaking of ran on, that is Ray getting ran on, taken down by the Sojourn of Katara, the Winston now. Also following up, Winston on Winston combat. That is Spankle going down. So they found 2 in this fight. Have the University of Kent 3v5 situation. They're going to get a little bit of stall. Are the Royal Bears as Alex finds a nice headshot onto the opposing Kiriko, so potentially winnable. But the other support going down means that it's just about this Kiriko. The Death Blossom comes in from Orange, but they're just going to get knocked straight into the well. Toxic finds 2 with the Overclock and Railgun combo as well. And in a down situation in a 3v5 Latark, the Royal Bears stay alive.
Yeah, what a beautiful little overclock coming from Toxic there. And it genuinely just brought that fight back, finding 2 early picks, oh, not early picks, but finding 2 picks that completely changed the pace of that fight. And the also swung the momentum back in the favor of Royal Bears. Royal Bears still in control of this point.
Yeah, they're still going to be in control of this point. The sound barrier first means there's an opportunity to overlay second by Ethan and get that advantage with his own sound barrier in response. Katara, though, responding with the overclock once that sound barrier had expired, finds a headshot onto Ray with it, and then finds a little bit of finish with that primary fire. and University of Kent, they keep themselves alive. It was a heavy, expensive fight, Latark, but hey, they're still in it.
Yeah, they've still got that Primal Rage in their pocket, and realistically, that's what they're going to have to rely on in the next fight. But if you look at the ultimates on the other side, on Royal Bears, there's not really much there. They're coming, I mean, semi-close to a Kuriko, to a Kitsune Rush, but that's about it.
There's not much in the bank, you're absolutely right, and it is going to be up late in the fight. Luckily, time for the University Royal Holloway of London are on their side. I've definitely butchered the name of that university, but nonetheless, the Royal Bears, they're living for now.
Oh my
They've
God.
got time to build up resources, but that's a good
Ethan's
opening pick on
okay.
Kitara.
Ethan was going for a little bit of a Mimi play in the back line. It looks like he's been sniffed out right here, and he might actually fall. Oh no, he just gets away with his life. But yeah, you see ultimates coming online now, and it's looking so much better for Royal Bears here with 2 ultimates coming out.
Yeah, the Kitsune Rush is going to be the first one to go open, and that attack speed increase means they're just going to stat check Orange, completely roll over that Reaper. They are not safe once that Wraith form goes down. Spankle on the Winston is allowed to take so much space because of that rush that came out from Hazard on the Kiriko. So crucial is that flex support in being able to assist and be the backbone, the lifeline for the rest of the team. But Katara taking out the enemy, the opposite Sojourn could be an answer for the University of Kent. They have to be quick. Orange's Death Blossom has to be good.
Oh!
And it finds one, but it's not going to be enough because Ray is still on this objective. They do get traded quickly. So now I think it's on Toxic to really start hitting those shots. It's all about this Sojourn. The only damage source left in the fight, the sound barrier from Ethan is going to be close, but unfortunately not quite good enough. They don't manage to save the Winston. And the reverse sound barrier comes out in response from Busy Bee to keep them nice and healthy. And the Royal Bears, they played this so well. Their tempo, their control, and honestly, just Toxic and Ray going absolutely ham on the DPS. That's going to be a Death Blossom for a fancy finish. Clean up, the bell rings, and the Royal Bears get themselves a win.
Yeah, evening up this series, and it looks like it's going to be a good series. 100 to 87, and the last point was 100 to 99. So this last round will be the deciding round, and it probably will be just as close as the last 2. I just want to point out, though, Hazard hit an absolutely beautiful shot on Katara, shutting down that overclock, and the overclock was probably about to win that fight for Kent. And yeah, it was... If that headshot was not hit there, that probably might have been map. Like, Kent could have taken back that point and had enough ults to then rebalance out the next fight. So yeah, really, really impressed with the headshot skill. And that headshot multiplier from Kuriko is not something to be missed or something to be underestimated either. As we roll out onto the last point, really, really interested. Both teams still sticking on this mirror composition.
Yeah, they're still going to try and play it. It's interesting enough. One thing for decent Kiriko is to sit at head height and spam, but another to actually connect those shots. Katara does just that on the railgun on the Sojourn. Ray falls, Orange immediately collapsing in onto Busy Bee, and there we go. Gets a second one in the fight. Tentamine just roll this one in the neutral. The headshots from the opening. This Reaper and Sojourn have such good killing potential, and it's demonstrated there perfectly by the University of Kent.
Yeah, and really beautiful cleanup as well from Kent, where they've actually found that first pick, but they've not waited. They've not like given them chance. They've gone straight on them. They've played Rush how Rush is supposed to be played, and they've gone straight on to Royal Bears.
But Hazard finding a kunai is a great response to Sojourn out the fight. Means that Toxic on that Sojourn of himself is now really unlocked and able to exert themselves however they want. Ethan falling as well means it's a 3v5 situation. It turns into a 3v4 as it's flipped. And currently, I believe now 3v3 trades going back left and forward, trading like Wall Street. It's both Sojourns trying to outdo each other. And in the end, both of them fall. It's only going to be the Winston and the Reaper standing. Hazard, though, he's respawned in time and come back with a kunai headshot onto the Reaper. Crucial pick. That point presence of Reaper so strong, and that allows Royal Bears to take the flip.
Yeah, stalling up to 40% is fairly nice for Kent here, but yeah, eventually they did lose out that fight, and a nice little shot from Hazard. Another like great shot from Hazard, actually. Just a really good thing to point out that Hazard on this Kiriko is doing a lot of work hitting these headshots and getting a lot of damage in.
Yeah, Kiriko just been so good, so deadly coming out from Hazard. Any chance you get to find those headshots, not only do you get your own Kitsune Rush, but you can also find a cheeky pick or two. And speaking of Kitsune Rush, that's going to be one onto the point, but Orange completely shuts the door down on that rush. The temple has been closed for business for now. Great little headshot for the exit pick as well, but unfortunately it's going to be an exit pick, Letard, because the University of Kent, they flipped back control of the point, and it is ticking. Royal Bears, they're going to go back in with a sound barrier. This is a fight that I don't think they should have been taken. It's not over just yet. Absolutely, the overclock is now going to be forced, and the sound barrier too.
So many ults.
So many ults. That's a death blossom coming out from Ray. The overclock, remember, still being popped by Kitara, manages to take down that pesky Reaper after the death blossom. This is a long fight. Royal Bears committed a lot, but all this time, Kent are just ticking up the point.
You know what? It's actually really, really good. How Kent managed to come back into that fight. They kited. They did a really, really good job of backing out when they saw that beat and that Kitsune Rush coming out, and then they re-engaged with a beat of their own and that overclock from Kitara. And Kitara doing so much work with the overclock once again on this Sojourn, doing so much work.
But Toxic, time to respond. As I said, the railgun picks are so important. Then they find two, both DPS down now for the University of Kent, and that's going to be 3 pickings to keep themselves alive. That was a quick fight, but that right there is the prime demonstration of the power of the Sojourn in this meta.
Yeah, 99% on the point here for Kent, though, and they will be looking to finish this map out. One clean fight is all they need. Next fight, probably going to be a dry fight. Realistically, they've got no ults, and if they do have, if they do build them up in the next fight, then they won't really have chance to use them, because by that point, the Kitsune Rush is most likely going to come out from. Oh, I was looking at the completely wrong teams.
Alice's Kitsune Rush does manage to come down, though, for the University of Kent, and they want to smash the go button on it. Again, the Reaper going down. Ray manages to find the pick onto the opposite number. It's 99%. It has been flipped, but that looks like it's a boop coming down. Ethan just manages to survive it. The railgun in the back off screen, managing to find Toxic. The Primal Rage has been popped by Sita just to keep himself alive and beefy on the point. There we go. The Kitsune Rush is in response from Hazard. The Death Blossom coming in from Ray. It manages to find that Kiriko. So no Suzu now. Going to be so good at helping keep Royal Bears in this fight and keep them out and winning. But Orange at the death. The Death Blossom right at the 11th hour. And University of Kent, they're just going to clean them off the point. Great response into the flurry of ultimates that Royal Bears committed there. But they didn't kill the Reaper, and the Reaper killed everyone else.
Yeah, little mistake on my part where I just got completely mixed up on which team was which, and was looking at the wrong ults for the wrong sides, but really, really well played for Kent in the end there. Like I said, they had the ults to engage. They had that Kitsune Rush to engage with. And that's really what is a massive fight-winning ult. And on the other side with Royal Bears, they didn't have much to defend with ult-wise. And so it would come straight down to how well they played individually and if they could get an early pick, which, as we saw, there was no early pick coming through. So yeah, really, really well played from both sides. A really close matchup as well. Lovely to see. And well done to Kent, taking away this first map. And it is a best of 3 as well. So it would be the first team to win 2 maps. So the next map can possibly be our last one.
Potentially, yes. I actually thought this was a best of 3. I'm not quite too sure, but University of Kent, nonetheless, they strike first blood. But it was close. Royal Bears hung in there, and they were absolutely hanging with them. It was so close. Tox for this Royal Bears losing side on the first map did so well. Both of these Sojourns, we're going to have a cracker of a series in for ourselves. These railgun right clicks have been so deadly from either of the Sojourn, and it's really been about these hit stands in some of these fights. Whichever one can find that opening headshot could just decide it. Overwatch now, Overwatch 2 ultimates being so rare and being so infrequent, the charge time being massively increased, and even more so due to the lack of another tank to farm your damage off and generate those ultimates. We saw it there. It was University of Kent, though. They were charging them up a bit quicker. In particular, Hazard's charge time on the Kitsune Rush was incredibly fast.
Yeah, I was pointing out during the series how well Hazard was doing at hitting those headshots, and it really shows with the rate that those Kitsune rushes were coming online. And also, like you pointed out, Sojourn being such a massive staple of this meta and being able to find picks. You saw Katara finding very early picks on the side of
Yeah.
Kent. Just each fight, like I feel like Royal Bears need to be looking towards Kent to shut down Katara a bit more, because Katara seems to have that free range of the map and can just walk around as a Sojourn. And a Sojourn with a fully charged railgun is a scary, scary thing, and nobody wants to be stood in that sight line. It's kind of like looking into the most mobile Widow you can find.
Yep, absolutely. It is more broken than Widow ever was at her peak. The projectile, remember, guys, for the railgun, I believe, increasing in size the more charge that you've got. So you're effectively shooting a hit scan Hanzo log at 100 energy. And we've all seen RNG clips over the years of Hanzo just one-tapping someone with a stupid left click, just something around the corner or scattered off the wall or whatever. Sojourn is equally as ridiculous. And the movement ability, that slide, allowing her to distance herself from the dive that comes in from the Winston and the Reaper and the Disruptor Orb. She's got so many anti-dive tools in her kit, but that is what you need to do if you're the Royal Bears. And it's going to be a tall order, because both of these DPS from Kentamina are so strong and they are so deadly if left alone. And unfortunately, you can't contest both of them at the same time. Your comp just really does not allow for it.
Yeah, so as you can see, we're going to be going into our second map, which will be Colosseo. It was chosen by Royal Bears, as they did lose the last map, unfortunately. And I love this map. Like, a lot of people don't like this map, but I love this map. It's long sight lines. It's kind of just the way it's kind of structured. It means for a lot of interesting engagements in a lot of different places, and also can really show how well you know your map control. There's certain corners on this map where you want to be taking fights, and certain corners on this map where you definitely don't want to be taking fights. And so knowing your map kind of areas and your control of these places and how well you can do it on the composition you're playing will really determine the pace of this fight, the pace of this match, sorry.
Yeah, we've got an interesting composition difference. It's only going to be the tank. It's going to be Spankle staying on the Winston, Seta getting the last little bit of charge and juice out of the Zarya before she inevitably gets nerfed tomorrow. But that Zarya is not too bad. You now force Orange to play more of a frontliner, as this Reaper is going to be the one taking the bubbles, but take the bubbles and run over the Winston. They can do, and now the space made by Seta and Orange, that frontline duo, allows Katara to go crazy in the backline. There we go, the Reaper falling the Winston immediately afterwards. Ethan getting amongst the kills as well as Ray goes down. This is a quick 3 picks for the University of Kent, and well, they're going to get first push.
Yeah, and I mean, I can't lie, I did expect this to be coming out on our first map, and it's nice to kind of see it coming out on the second map. The Zarya is not yet nerfed, and so it's still a very, very powerful pick, and Katara with another beautiful headshot. I mean, Katara finding the first headshot pick in the last fight, and now the first headshot pick in this fight.
Yeah, that's, speaking of unnerfed, that's going to be unnerfed for quite a while. That railgun headshot just one-tapping Hazard there on the Kiriko, and this is the go button for the University of Kent. Look at how deep they pushed them into the spawn. Only 45 meters on the clock, but they've got all the way to the end of the bridge. This is about 80, 90 meters on the push cart where where Seta is currently playing with Orange in tow as well, but University of Kent are just taking all the space.
Kent can
they
tap
want.
here.
Yeah, the fight is going to come in as a sound barrier. Recontest from Busy B, Ray falls, but quickly they follow after the Reaper. University of Kent, this is 2 fights in a row. So good.
Yeah, and this Winston's really struggling in the matchup. They're really struggling to really put the damage in at a similar level that the Zarya is. And especially now we're seeing more ults come online. We've seen 5 ults online for Kent. We're going to see Orange here with this Death Blossom setting up to possibly jump into the backline with it. But yeah, ult's going to be a massive decider here.
The Graviton Surge is going to go first. If they come through the Kitsune Rush, they're all locked up, and they're locked up into the Death Blossom. The Reaper claims all 5 of the Royal Bears. They go with the engagement. They are punished. Great Graviton Surge, great Death Blossom. That's one for the highlight reel.
Yeah, very, very big Graviton Surge there from Sator, but there was 3 ultimates commit there from Kent. And I mean, that's a beautifully early Kitsune rush. Primal Rage has been popped, and I mean, it's just, that's all. That's such a quick fight.
It's done. It's done before you can even throw it back, hand it over, because Orange is just going crazy on this Reaper. They're allowed to buy so much space, and this Winston composition gets it. Yeah, we go. The Zarya finally comes in, but it's not good. I think it's too late. Just the energy, the tempo, the momentum is being built up by the side of the University of Kent. They're going to have to go for Miracle Play. Miracle Play, they've got the bubble coming in for the Death Blossom, so it's a smart swap. Ray is protected during that ultimate. Most vulnerable is the Reaper during that Death Blossom, to be honest, guys. And there we go. Royal Bears buy themselves a lifeline. It's going to have to be a stalwart push and a hell of a time bank to get through, but they're still alive 6 minutes on the clock.
It's 6 minutes 20, so they do have plenty of time to be able to bring this back. They can afford to lose a few fights, but there's going to be another fight here before they even get in.
It is going to be a really quick response. Both of these Reapers dueling for control of this right-hand flank, I think. So their Sojourn can take that angle too. Tox decides against it. Just goes into main, but goes rampant, goes raging with the overclock.
Toxic.
Finds 3 Toxic. There we go. Unleashed. The space has been bought. Great trade of cooldowns to get out those bubbles, get out that bell, that protection Suzu. As its full cooldown name, and
really nice to see from Royal Bears as well. They've only used that 1 ult to win that fight. 1 ult to win a fight in this kind of state of the game is so good. So much value found just by using that 1 ult. And also, looking at it, they're going to have that beat in response to the Graviton Surge, and most likely they're going to have the Kitsune Rush to go in fast with and hopefully destroy it. It's just watching Katara here with this overclock.
Yeah, the sound barrier comes in, the Graviton Surge is afterwards, so it's not able to be protected. University of Kent, great response. Royal Bears were kind of forced into the ultimates there because they've been behind. They had a Herculean mountain to climb, and unfortunately it might still actually be being climbed. As I said, the expedition is still on. The Zarya from Spankle comes out, managed to find 3 or 4 with the Grav, and in a 2v3, 2v4 situation, Tox and Spankle, they just flip it with the Zarya Sojourn.
But the fast respawns is going to allow for Kent to come back in really quickly. Orange does go down here, and Kent has a lot of ultimates here to be able to defend. Switching over to the Winston that we saw on the defending side before.
Yeah, they're just trying to get the swap. They're trying to bubble off the Zarya Spankle, because once the Zarya is reset, the matchup is very heavily Winston favoured. Unfortunately, it's going to take a tall order and a big investment, and Katara does absolutely that with the overclock, the headshot coming onto Ray afterwards as well. That's a 2k, make that a 3k. Katara killing Busy Bees as well, and the Sojourn. Katara was off the kill feed for too long, that being like 2 fights. The Sojourn gets himself back amongst the kill feed.
Yeah, 4 minutes on the clock, and Orange is the only one with an ultimate here. The Reaper with the Death Blossom, and if it can be big enough, Orange can keep this moving forward and make this even harder for Royal Bears to bring back. Nice little pick there from Toxic.
It's a trade of railguns. One good railgun shot deserves another. Alice, though, finding a headshot onto the Sojourn is going to be crucial, because that allows Katara to go crazy and burst down the Winston. And burst down the Winston they do. Now they've got their eyes on the Reaper of Ray. Just manages to pick off the Winston and disengage, but all the time this robot's cart is being walked back towards the push. It's going to be a quick response as Ray's Death Blossom only manages to find Ethan, but Spankle comes in for the cleanup. Royal Bears, they're slowly but surely climbing their way back into this.
Yeah, and Royal Bears have switched back over to the Winston again. It was right in the start of that fight, and now they're both on the Winston mirror again, rather than that Zarya. A lot of distance to pick up from, though. Still 131 to 36, and 131 meters. That is a lot of distance to make up.
Absolutely is, and now with the time bank being under 3 minutes, you're going to have to be very efficient with your ultimate. Sator is going to just go in though and try and find it with the primal range, try and buy some space for the rest of his team. Space is going to be bought, but HP bars are going to be so low. The Sojourn of Katara cannot walk up as they would like. That means that Toxic can walk in response, but Orange managed to find him. They over-aggress. Now both Sojourns off the field. It's going to be a duel of the Reapers, and unfortunately, Orange and the gang win this one as Wraith falls. Honestly, great bubble from Seta on the Winston there. Then they go onto the backline. So well played by the Winston. The University of Kent here, controlling that bubble and controlling the fight so well.
I mean, Kent did such a good job in that fight. There was 4 ults dropped into that fight from Royal Bears, but they just weren't grouped up together, and it was just like kind of pointless that they were dropping ults in and getting no value from it as well. Like, all of the ults they were using had no value. And now it just looks like Kent is just going to walk it in and try and complete this map. And a map like this being completed is actually crazy.
Yeah, it's very rare that we see, just because of the give-and-go nature, the snowball potential that you can have with ultimates. But the University of Kent, they punished them in that fight. Royal Bears were out of resources, they were out of time. And in the neutral, University of Kent just played it a bit better. We get the shrug from the Reaper, and it really was a shrug kind of game as Orange was able to really run over this lobby. We're going to see the play of the game here. It's the Grav Death Blossom coming in. Great Graviton Surge in response to the Kitsune Rush. And University of Kent, just their understanding of this composition in the neutral fights and how to play with the Sojourn and Reaper is just far better than Royal Bears right now, and it completely empowered them to a very strong showing on Colosseo here in our map too.
Yeah, I mean, Kent has done such a good job, and Katara, a really big player in all of the fights on that Sojourn. It was like the first map was just a warm-up, and on that second map, Colosseo, there were headshots everywhere. I don't think Katara missed many railgun shots at all. Like, there was so many being hit, and really impressive play from Kent. Royal Bears, in fairness to them, did do a really good job with that Graviton and Death Blossom combos. They were lining up their combos. They had the bubbles for the Reaper, but they just seemed a bit lost in fights sometimes. Like, there was the one fight where they commit 4 ults, and they just didn't really look like they knew what they were committing the ults for. Their ults were just getting kited, and their ults were just getting walked away from, basically. Like, they just didn't really find any value with them in some of the fights, and didn't look like they had a plan going into the fight. Whereas Kent, very clean play, and they were walking into fights and it looked like they knew what they're doing. They knew what their plan was each time. And you could even put that on the shoulders of the tank. Sata doing some shot calling that we probably can't hear on the cast. We can't hear any of that shot calling, but shot calling is a big factor of this game, and being able to communicate with your team and talk with each other about what plans are going in, then, I mean, it makes a massive difference on how, I mean, whether you win or lose a fight, whether you win or lose a map.
Yeah, the hive mind mentality is so important, and comms are absolutely the nucleus of that. We got a bit of time for both of these teams to rest and recharge. Maybe Royal Bears figure out how to go again. We'll be back in 5 to 10 minutes. Don't go anywhere. Overwatch 2, Amazon University, Campus Clash, the Null. Right back at you. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you soon.
this town with the speakers loud and the radio Playing old sublime that we stole online, every verse we know. And we hadn't had a clue if we'd make it by noon or even where we'd go. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. We don't need a map, everywhere. The tank said E and we all agree that we're just too broke to fill it back up, so we left your truck on the road with Rome. Then we found a motel with a cigarette smell, so we knew we're close. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. Is where I can find some peace of mind to make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. 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 We play Tupac, Shellac, and we turn our music up when he raps about hope. We hold our thumbs high and hope someone is kind enough to give us all a ride. And we wouldn't have a clue if we'd make it back to or even where we'd go. We don't need a map, everywhere is home. A Ford stopped on the street, said where you trying to be. We said we don't really care, we'll know it when we're there. We took on down the road, he flipped on his radio. Santeria started slow, so we knew that we were close. Home is where I can find some peace of mind to make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. 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 Home is where I can find some peace of mind to make my own way. I don't know where I will end up, but I'll find it someday. Keep on searching, engine burning while we're turning it around. But don't get left behind on the road. I live 17 floors up, and when it rains I can feel those drops in my window pane. Lets me know that I'm still here. But when the sun comes out I will go outside, and when it breaks through clouds I will give a smile. Lets me know that I'm still here. Sometimes I want to run away, to find good times again, to find all my old friends.
Good times, I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again. And good times, I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again. And
up, and when I cry I can see the city through my watered eyes. Lets me know that I'm still here. When my eyes clear up I will go outside, I'll imagine you're still by my side. Lets me know that
Run away, run away, to find good times again, to find all my old friends. Run away, to the nearest place where I'll find all my old friends.
Times, I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again. And good times, I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again. And good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again. And good times, I said good times, find my friends again. I said I wanna have good times, good times, find my friends again. And
And we're back. Hello. Welcome back to the second half of the stream. Here we are one day before the inevitable death of Zaria Meta. But right now, University of Kent, last game, they managed to take it to a 2-0. I thought there was going to be a first to 3, but unfortunately, for my prod, I cannot read. So now we're in the second game. Kent took the 2-0. Here we've got Reading Knights versus Sheffield Dragons. I am still Jason, your play-by-play. Joining me still is Latarch. Latarch, thoughts on the last game, and maybe we could see a little bit of a trend going into the second game.
Yeah, I mean, like you say, Zarya meta is dying, and on Colosseo last game, we did see the Zarya come out, but predominantly in the last game as well, we did see a lot of that monkey rush, a lot of that banana rush, as you called it, banana rush coming out, Winston rush, and it was like, it was nice to see it coming out, but when we saw that Zarya come out as well, it looked really powerful, so I don't really know which one's going to be the more powerful of the two, as Monkey Rush does seem to be the dominant meta at the moment, but then, like we say, Zarya still hasn't been nerfed. So, the going to be interesting to see what teams come out on this in this series, as we will be seeing two completely different teams. We're seeing Sheffield Dragons versus Reading Knights. Stakes are high for Sheffield in this match. Reading only on 18 points, so they don't stand a chance. If they do win this, they're not going to be able to make playoffs. However, if Sheffield lose this match, they will not be making it to playoffs. And if they win, they make it to playoffs. So it's really, really important that Sheffield win this match. And so, yeah, really want to see them coming out and looking like the top team. In this situation, they are the higher seed. And so I believe they will be taking the first map pick of Control. But yeah, like I say, important match for them. And you're probably going to see that pressure coming out on them in this first map. Probably going to see them realizing how hard they actually have to try, and probably will be going in very, very hard right from the start.
You'd think so. It's a first 2-2. It is a best of 3. Reading Knights have the potential to leapfrog Sheffield with a win and potentially even kick them out. Sheffield secured themselves a higher seed with 24 points to finish off the Swiss split. Did we didn't do it in the first match, or do it now? Just in case anyone is unfamiliar with the format, it is a Swiss format. What does that mean? Well, it's not quite a round robin. We've got couple of weeks of play, teams obviously play 2 games a night. But the way that the Swiss format works is you play teams similar-ish to the record that you currently have. So the stronger teams are going to be going up against the stronger teams with a 4-1 record, or in this case, 24 out of a 27 available points will be going up against other teams at 24 out of 27 available points, and vice versa. So it makes it almost like a miniature divisions all across the entire bracket. So no team, even if they are, bottom 2, bottom 3, eventually the standings sort themselves out and you play against teams of a similar record. And then from there, you can go up or down the ladder. It's our top 16 that make playoffs. And roughly, as you were saying, the talk about 21 points is going to be needed. Sheffield Dragons have got it, but Reading are on 18. So if they win, they're in. If they lose, then they might potentially have forfeited their spot to this Uni of Reading team. You got any predictions or hot takes going into this? I think Sheffield probably do take the victory just because Swiss format generally lends itself to the higher teams being, well, a lot better because they always have a harder schedule. They always have tougher opponents. So being able to amass 21 points, even though their rivals opposition only have 18, that 3-point difference can sometimes be, very, very different, very influential, and very telling of how good these teams are.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like we're just waiting a few minutes, as we do need to wait a few minutes for this lobby. But yeah, I kind of want to talk about the first map. We do have a first map pick come through, and it does look like it's going to be Oasis. Different map to last time. Last time we saw Ilios. This time we're seeing Oasis, University, Gardens, and then help me out here because I can't remember the last one.
Oh, it's City Centre, Gardens.
City Centre.
Yep, City Centre, Gardens, and University.
Yeah, there you go. It's City Centre. There you go. That's the one with the cars where you can get environmental kills by knocking people into the main road.
The jump pad, yeah.
And the jump pad, yes. So yeah, important to realize what kind of comps are going to be better on other maps. Realistically, a wider map like City Centre, you're probably not going to be able to play that Zarya if you're opting for a Zarya comp, and we will probably be seeing that Monkey Rush coming out. However, stuff like University, very, very possible that you see the Zarya comps coming out, as it's much closer combat, much closer quarters, and Zarya being that much more brawly character, being much more effective at the closer range, much more effective at just like running at people, basically, a bit like a Reinhardt usually does.
Yeah, the Reaper and the Zarya really worked themselves as a nice little double off-tank pair almost. The Reaper having so much survivability when they're given over, but no Reaper on the side for either teams here as we are prepared to attack. Obviously, Kiora could lock it in for the side of Reading, but both of these teams coming out with a Winston Genji dive comp here.
Yeah, I mean, you can see things change up possibly as it gets closer to the leaving time, but it does look like teams will be sticking with this. Genji also not yet been nerfed, so those nerfs are yet to come in.
Yet to come in. We've seen an Echo response, actually. Really interesting. This hero, it's not been played too much in Overwatch 2, of course. It was completely busted in Overwatch 1, but both teams going for an Anna Winston composition. This is very classic Overwatch. Takes me back to the days of Apex Season 4 all the way in 2017. Some veteran level pass stuff there. Ruben, though, for Sheffield, looking for the top angle. Sombra, so good. Remember, one day before she's completely gutted. This hatch doing 40% damage, but it's not even needed in this open neutral fight. Ruben gets a 2k, just cleaning them up. 41% on the EMP as well. They get the tap, they get the flip, they get EMP charge. Perfect open for Sheffield.
Yeah, and I mean, Sheffield have done a really good job solidifying this point, but I think it's mainly on this Sombra pick. The Sombra being able to shut down that Echo and really stop the Genji while he engages, and also punish an out of position Winston. It's really an important part of this composition, and I think the Echo is where you kind of lose out of it. So seeing where Kiora actually manages to build up is quite interesting.
The hack goes in onto the Winston, but it's Vulcan on the Anna ignoring that monkey and instead going for the Genji Archeress. goes down. Fiora just manages to respond onto the opposite Genji with that focusing beam. The Echo, so much burst potential, and as well, getting that pocket from the Mercy of Sarcastic, able to really, really find a quick convert with all of their cooldowns once the Echo sinks back in. And speaking of Fiora, another focusing beam EMP, you're right, is available for Ruben. It is online. Do they decide to commit it? I think not, because bodies on the point for the side of Reading here. Primal committed by Smod 2. But it's not bad. University of Sheffield are going to lose this point, but they get an extra 15-20% out of it for free, and they've got EMP for the recontest.
Yeah, only Primal commit there from Reading, and really nice play, but it was a long fight. It wasn't a fight that was cleaned up quickly, which meant that Sheffield could build up their ultimates. And if you look at their ultimate bank, they do almost have 4 ults online, with that Blade being a little further off. And that's that's an engagement that you want to be going in on.
Ooh, great anti-nade coming in from Ventrum, though the Nano goes down instantly, no hesitation. This Ana doing so much. If both supports are cleaned up, it's going to be a response. Nano, Ruben finds both supports on his own, commits the EMP as well. Jack is now the one, I believe, also glowing. So both scientists very, very charged up, hyper accelerated, and very, very angry. Jack, though, still got the Primal Rage if they need it. And now, well, Monkey see, Monkey do is Fiora copies the Winston and not quite manages to live for as long. Going to meet the same fate as Smodge does. Luckily, though, Sarcastic cheating death there with the resurrection. Ruben still on a killing spree, found both supports at the start of this fight, remember, so they're still going strong. No backline, no resources, no anti-nade, no sleep. Means that Reading, well, they're really, really squishy in this fight. Brainwave and Ninja have got to scramble back to the point. Sheffield, in such a long fight, they get the flip at the end.
Very, very long fight, but look at the ult difference as well. Sheffield only used the Primal Rage and Nano there. They did a really good job of holding onto their fights. They knew what they needed. Or they probably used the EMP as well, and I didn't realise that. Yeah, on 77%. But I mean, 78% to another EMP already. That just shows that ult charge is so massive, and they're going to have it in this last fight. Blade coming out.
The Blade is going to go out. Is it just the Dry Blade? Yeah, the Nano can't be given over to Archerus, and well, that is the fate. That is the life of a Genji player in this meta without Nano, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of, Ninja in the back, going to be just solo blading the Ana. Unfortunately, the Grandma goes down. The backline, very, very weak, just completely cleaned up. Ruben's EMP comes in there with a little bit of a victory, but excellent counter dive from the University of Sheffield. That beat came in from Brainwave there to completely mitigate the Dragon Blade from Archerus. They focused the Genji. There was no one in with them. Smog left them high and dry on that Blade, and then from there, after they clean up the Genji, they just go in 5v4 and went on a clean dive.
Yeah, I mean, no mercy from them at the end there as well, where they just run in, use that EMP on the last 3 surviving members. Sheffield just wanting to clean up that fight and clean up that point. As we do see, looking over at Reading, they are switching onto a Junker Queen comp. Junker Queen, the Moira and the Reaper, and switching onto that Genji that they didn't have on that first point. So yeah, Vulcan looks like they're kind of waiting in the spawn for a little bit, just a bit AFK, but I'm sure a slow engage isn't going to hurt them. But yeah, really interested seeing this Junker Queen composition coming out on the other side, and Vulcan has been caught out.
Well, they've gone straight for the backline of the Ana. Beautiful engage. Say what you want about the tank pick, but the coordination still comes in for the University of Reading. That's the Ana gone all the sustain. Completely gutted from the University of Sheffield's comp. Well, they've got to win it fast now. So they're not going to win in the long fight. The sustain advantage for healing simply going to be too good from that Moira of Sarcastic. Ruben, though, managed to establish himself on the point, get a little bit of charge. It's a 1-for-1 as the pause comes in. Potentially there, Vulcan being a little bit AFK, as we're going to go back to cams, but Junker Queen, we've not seen it in a while, have we? And actually, I don't know, disconnect from
no. DC there, yeah.
Talk to me about the Junker Queen then. What does it bring? And what does it give to this composition?
Junker Queen meta, it's very, very brawly. I mean, that's most of the metas nowadays. With Overwatch 2, the gameplay is very brawly, and that's why she's a great hero, really well designed for this game. But you're basically playing around that raw and like coordinating the Junker Queen shout and the speed boost and engaging with your Reaper. Reaper is an off tank in this comp as well. And so it's kind of like any composition at the moment. Reaper is like a pseudo tank almost. And so that's how he'll try and play. He'll just run at people with the high health and the high damage. I don't really like the fact that they've got the Moira. I think the Brigitte is the way that this comp was played, and I think it's still a better way for this comp to be played, as it hasn't been nerfed. And Brigitte with the CC just allows for the control over Jack and Ninhydrin on the Monkey and on the Genji, and the whip shots, the shield bashes, just having the shield available as well. It gives the opportunity to kind of push them away, and especially considering the Reading are going to want to be engaging heavily on this back line. You might see a counter dive come in from Sheffield. They'll be jumping onto the back line, and then what you want to do is boot them away. And so jumping into the back of your own team while you're trying to attack their team, it's like you're kind of leaving yourself exposed, whereas with some kind of CC, you can keep them off your back and still be able to engage on that back line of the other team. And so, yeah, really interesting from them, to be fair. And it doesn't look like it's quite paid off, but this first fight is very scrappy, very back and forth. And with a Junker Queen in the meta, or not in the meta, but in this fight, you would expect the fight to be a little more scrappy than usual anyway.
Yeah, the commanding shout originally, when it was played at its most broken, and it was really only played in, well, before the actual release of the game, right? It was an Overwatch League patch. The Junker Queen basically turned the Genji into an off-tank in that meta, allowed the commanding shout, the HP was given, and then from there they were able to go in and contest the Sojourn that was still incredibly broken as it was now. But they're playing Reaper Genji, this sort of two pseudo frontliners, and they are turned into... This Genji is turned into a frontliner by the commanding shout from Smog, right? Kiora as well on this Reaper. I mean, Reaper with commanding shout is just absolutely terrifying for the backline of University of Sheffield.
300 health and a speed boost. I mean,
300 health, speed boost, Wraith, the Moira healing as well, which you pointed to and you said you didn't like. Me personally, I don't mind it, but I think I will say Moira is a lot easier to get value out of. The Inspire being very, very strong, right? But the inability to proc that can sometimes be a pitfall in lower levels of the game, right? Moira is more consistent. Her ultimate is way, way worse. I absolutely agree. Rally, I still think is quietly actually quite good. I think Brig is a bit underrated right now just because Lucio is so strong, and Kiriko has, of course, just been released a couple of months ago. So she's going to be broken, right? Because that's just how Blizzard do their balancing these days. And well, since Brig was released in general, to be fair. But let's talk quickly about this response from University of Sheffield, though, because Arcturus is going to have to respawn. They are down the Genji. They've lost a frontliner. Effectively, yes, Ninhydrin is currently still dead in the fight, but Jack and Ruben, they are both alive, and this composition... when it's lost Wraith form, when it's lost Amp, when the Moira is low on healing, when there's no commanding shout, remember, 40% damage increase on the hack, Latarks. There is a huge window of opportunity there for University of Sheffield to capitalize and collapse on it.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, Sheffield should be able to take away this this first fight. As I mean, they've traded the Genjis. Both Genjis are down. However, like you said, the cooldowns of Reading would have mostly been used at this point, and so realistically, without those cooldowns, you've got to wait for them to come back. You've got to wait for those big engagement cooldowns, because the way that the Junker Queen comp would play was you play on one big engagement, and that is your fight. You take that fight when that commanding shout comes out, and that is when that fight happens. No other time, because other times you're weaker. You're much more susceptible to be dove on. You're much more susceptible to just be picked off randomly by a Sombra with that 40% extra damage on the hack. So yeah, want to be kind of seeing a quick reset coming out from Reading here, recognizing that they are down the player, and recognizing that they've also got no resources in this fight. Might be looking for a little bit of stall on the point as well, just dying on the point, but the problem with that is you're then feeding ult charge to Sheffield, and if you can just get out, then you're stopping Sheffield from building up ults and lapping you, really, getting ahead of you in ult charge.
Yeah, absolutely. I do agree. The ability to just snowball ultimates on the control mode is so good. And if we're going to get the unpause here, we're going back in now. Any second now. Ruben's still in this fight. Kiora is going to be scary on this point. Remember, the point presence that the Reaper brings so strong. You have to fight the Reaper in the perfect range for those Hellfire shotguns. And yeah, Sheffield, they're just going to have to quickly give up the point. Vulcan, though, getting the pick onto Ventrum could be the quick flip, but Jack instantly collapsed. This is the primary target that Curie is looking for with those Hellfire shotguns, as I said. That is the Winston gone down, and well, no tank, no win. Jack is going to go over and flip to the Reinhardt, and Reading get the hold for now.
Yeah, swap onto the Reinhardt, and I did say at the start of this map that this point of the map is a lot more brawly, where you would see something like the Reinhardt or the Zarya coming out, and it's nice to see a Reinhardt coming out. EMP to start off this fight though.
The EMP comes down, it's only going to find 2, but what a 2 it is. The Junker Queen and the Reaper so susceptible, but the collapse doesn't come in. Where's the damage? And Hydrian goes in, Jack is forced. They can't quite manage to get into the melee range to swing on the Junker Queen, who was 1 HP and antied as well. They did all they could, but they could not quite find the conversion. They survived the EMP. It's a disaster. It's a disaster now, Letard, because I mean they don't have EMP for next fight. They're so weak.
Yeah, EMP was used to engage with, but the problem with the position of the EMP, it only hit 2. Realistically, Ruben could have been a lot further forward to try and hit that EMP. As you see the switch onto the Zarya now as well, and the hack out on Smog.
The hack comes out onto Smog. The commanding shout goes out before, though, to keep them nice and healthy. The commanding shout is going to come in, but it's purely cosmetic. Luckily, Sarcastic's Coalescence was anything but, as it found the 3k to give them the 4. With that Biotic Grasp, that left click at the end, 80% on the board, and well, EMP down, only the Nano online for University of Sheffield.
Yeah, Reading are in the lead at the moment, 90% on the point, and this will even up the series if they can manage to take this fight. Death Blossom and Beat in the ult bank at the moment, and there's the Blade.
Ooh, the Blade comes in. It is a Nano Blade though. The Death Blossom comes out in response. Smog is going to cut down both supports in tandem. The dive comes in. The sound barrier from Ventrum is late, but I think it does not matter because the numbers are over for the side of Reading anyway. So well played. The tempo was incredible. And Ruben's EMP just could not quite be converted into a fight win. The University of Sheffield left a bit staggered, left a bit stunned by the Junker Queen. And Reading, well, they tie up the map because of it.
Yeah, Reading look really confident there. And also, just to point out, Smog, right in the start of that last fight, used the commanding shout, ran straight for the backline, just made a beeline for Vulcan and Brave Wave, and destroyed them, killed them both, got both of them, and then it did fall. But at that point, he'd found both of the supports on the other side, and it was too late. You do see a little bit of shenanigans coming here, though. Sheffield are pulling out that pharmacy composition, and if you're Reading and you're going to engage into this, realistically, you've got to be engaging into the team that aren't flying as fast as you can to try and clean up fights before that far up and get damage in.
So this is what we call a skill matchup, and it's going to be a skill issue for either of these teams. Ruben is going to have to deadlift on this Pharaoh because the rest of his team are going to be so vulnerable. The Sombra from Nin Hydrogen is a quiet pick, and it's great because it's another target that Ventrum are unable to speed his team on. And now they're staggered in the Hutcher room. Smog is just waiting for the commanding shot. They're waiting for the speed boost. But this means time is being burnt, and it's time that Ruben is allowed to approach. Arctic is going straight for the Mercy, but they get punished. Great flick to protect the Mercy there. Farah doing their job, and now they are free to put in and rain down spam damage to Mercy. So the Moira has been isolated. They're going to fall any second now. The commanding shout comes in as Curie finds the key pick on the ground. Jack falling, there's no Winston, no time to Smog, getting the other one on the ground, and now it's a 4v2 situation in the air. Ruben's got to go big, but unfortunately they might just clean up his Mercy because of it. Mirage comes in, it's late. Ruben trying to flip this fight on his own, but Reading still have the point, they still have the cap, and I think they won it.
Yeah, I mean, really optimistic play from Arcturus on the Genji to go for that Mercy in the middle of the sky. I don't know if you saw. Really optimistic. But they got picked off for it, and it did mean that the Pharaoh was distracted enough. Oh dear. Nice early pick from Ruben there. But,
a great move from Ruben.
Okay, Ruben.
Ruben just finding the Moira as well. The Lucio got their eyes set on for the 3k. That's next down for the support. They're great. Completely taking out Sustain in the backline. That allows the rest of their team to collapse. And Jack here, honestly, they don't really have to do much on the Reinhardt. They just have to live against the aggression of the rush that comes in, because it's all about the bird in the sky. And Ruben really helps get the flip for Sheffield.
Yeah, Ruben doing a good job there to find that early pick on the boot onto Arcturus. realistically, the ground fight was also then really well fought. Switching over to the Reinhardt, they seem to be playing it a lot better, and Smog now getting hacked on this engage, forced to use that commanding shout, but ooh, nice early pick.
Ooh, Hydrin gets a bit too aggressive, looking for that EMP, sarcastic falls, and no Sombra. It's going to be so good for Smog if they can live, but they don't. Ruben sends them back to an early grave. An early shower for you, Kiora, finding the Pharah, though not quite sure how the Reaper is able to take out the Pharah in the sky. The slam comes down for Jack, finally ready to exert himself on this Reinhardt. Arcturus falling, that's going to be great for Ruben once they respawn, but Reading, they just get the point and they get the split.
Yeah, I mean, Reading still in control at this point, 56% up now, and that's the Death Blossom getting commit.
Yeah, the Death Blossom comes in, but it's after the EMP. Kiora just going in to clean up. There was no resources available. Team Korean's Reading, they look so strong here with this Jungle Queen comp.
Yeah, and Brave Wave used the Valkyrie there as well. Ruben also using the Barrage. There's not many ults online here. And look at the other side. Reading with 3 ults online. They're going to have so much to engage with here. And this Rampage is going to be something different as long as you can hit enough players. There's the Cleanse going already as well with this Rampage online. It's just going to be scary.
The Cleanse is too early from Vulcan Heston, because that means the Junker Queen ultimate is completely free. Arcturus, though, finding that Kiriko as well. Jack getting a nice trade onto Vengeance, so it's 1 support for 1 support, but Smog cleans up the Genji with that axe swing. The pin after the Earth Shatter going down, so it's no tank for the side of the University of Reading. But you want to call Kiora a tank, that's what they're doing. Finding another pick onto Ruben, not quite sure how this Reaper has been able to clean up the Pharah so many times. It's such a favourable matchup for the Pharah, but Kiora is just saying no. And once again, the rush on the floor, the overwhelming point presence is so strong, it's too strong for the University of Reading, and they're bleeding out on the point. Oh, Sheffield, and they are bleeding dry. The HP pool is cut down to 0. And Reading, they swap onto the Junker Queen, they take 2 maps on the bounce, and they draw first blood, match point.
Yeah, nicely played from Reading there. They did a really good job of taking those scrappy fights and like playing like how Shock did. Shock have a really interesting playstyle where they commit ults in fights that are almost like lost fights, but they commit them to stall out time and let their players come back. And that's what Reading were doing really well there with that Junker Queen comp, holding onto the commanding shout until about halfway through the fight, then using it later in the fight rather than on the engage, and giving that extra boost of health to give that extra boost of survivability halfway through that fight, and stalling out even further. And eventually they were stalling out so long that they just won that war of attrition, where they were just like getting their respawns coming in and managing to get the picks before Sheffield could get their respawns coming in. Really, really well played from Reading. And actually, to point out in that last fight as well, Reading won that plainly off of neutral fight. They didn't use any ults. They had 4 ultimates in the bank and didn't use a single one of them because they just didn't feel like they needed it. So yeah, really beautiful play from Reading on this Junker Queen comp, and an interesting look that I didn't even expect to see.
Reading, absolutely. The Junker Queen swap is something that, I mean, is so good. Pharah now, you would think that we get stronger in Overwatch 2 with the lack of Diva just being everywhere, but the classic way to beat Pharah is just to rush at the people on the floor, rush at those not in the skies. We're going to swap over to what could potentially be a quick 2-0, and we're going into Esperança, which is obviously the Portuguese map, this new push map. I try and not butcher the pronunciation, being born in Portugal.
You did it
myself.
Perfectly.
Yeah, it's Esperança, I believe, is how you say it. The S and the A being cut off from the name by native Portuguese speakers, but the ES sound difficult for everyone, I'm sure. But push, way better mode than 2CP, might I add. And if we're thinking about compositions for this map, for Esperança in general, Latarks, then Smog in this broad composition, Kiora and Smog, they're going to run rampant. I think this is such a good map for Junker Queen Reaper.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many little back routes, so many little like doorways and gaps that you're, as a team, Junker Queen is going to be moving as a one unit. They're all going to be moving together, and realistically, that just allows them to go through all these little back routes and find these little flank routes and just turn up in the middle of your team where you didn't expect them to be. As you can see, they're on this left side of the map, and it's just not expected from Sheffield, as Ruben actually sniffs it out and does recognize this rotation, but such an early engage there.
It's such a cheeky rotation from University of Reading, but they've got it planned out. They get the perfect pick onto Vulcan. Once again, the main source of sustain for this composition, the main reason this Zarya is allowed to stand up after their bubbles go down, has been completely taken aback and taken out. Sarcastic. He's traded thanks to some very balanced play on that railgun, courtesy of the Sojourn, but kills still in this fight. Remember, Kiora still alive, and while the Reaper is going to be a problem for University of Sheffield this match, just as they were in the last one.
Yeah, and unfortunate from Reading, not from Reading, sorry, from Sheffield there, where they didn't quite realise soon enough where Reading was going to be coming from. And it does look like Sheffield still, however, have got control of this bot and will get moving slightly. But yeah, 8 meters on the other side, and it will just be a fight right here in the centre by the looks of things. And oh, Vulcan's been caught out.
Oh, Vulcan has been caught out. Nice little deflect onto the nade. Arcturus there, making sure that Anna cannot be peeled, cannot be healed. Remember, Reading, if they win this map, they can propel themselves into playoffs and potentially even dump Sheffield out. As Jack's getting dumped there quickly into the fight by Kiora. This Reaper, once again, just so good with this commanding shout. I really cannot stress this enough. The Zarya is great, but there's just no Reaper that can be matched, and it's just allowing the front to back of Reading to completely overwhelm Sheffield.
Yeah, and honestly, I think the Zarya comp could stand a good chance. It's just the fact that they're running this Genji or the Sojourn. They're running the Sojourn instead of it. But I don't feel like the Sojourn quite does what Reaper does, and same with like Genji. Realistically, a Sojourn Reaper is the meta right now, and you can see why.
Yeah, but Ruben should not die early there. That is completely illegal. The damage orb coming in from Sarcastic to take them down. You are hoping for the railgun shots tear apart this composition, but they're not happening. Ruben been left high and dry, no peel coming into the Moira as they died to the damage orb, and from there the go button from Reading is popped. Smod cleans up Vulcan so late. Reading, they are just steamrolling through the streets here.
Yeah, and Smog here with this Rampage is probably going to be looking for the flank and going in from behind with this Rampage and ending up in the front line with his team, though because of that, one of his team members has already gone down.
Yeah, they lose access to the commanding shouts. Arcturus as well. Just a Genji with 200 HP. Now the shout comes in. The bubble is applied to try and keep Vulcan alive against the oncoming damage, but it's kind of wasted. Smog here should just get cleaned up. Too much damage in the middle. They turn their attention to Kiori first. Fantastic falling. So they go for the Judge of Queen last, but hey, job done, job accomplished in Sheffield. They might be able to establish themselves on the push bot now. 5 ultimates still ready to go on the board for them. Not out of it yet.
Yeah, Reading on the other side with 4 ultimates of their own, though. This fight will be a really interesting one. There's going to be ultimates dumped everywhere. And another nice rotation. You can see that Reading have practiced this map clearly because they know this rotation quite well. Rampage coming out.
The rotation off the high ground. The Reckoning comes in, but Smod completely whiffs it against no one. And Arcturus full throws is a disaster. Jack provided with the protection from that sound barrier by Brainwave keeps them oh so healthy. And it's actually a disaster for the University of Reading because they commit 4 ultimates, actually sorry, only 2 in a lost fight in Sheffield. They've still got the Grav.
Yeah, Graviton and Blade online, you might see them coming out as a combo, a really old school combo coming out here, possibly, with the Grav Blade. But the beat on the other side from Ventrum will be able to negate most of that damage. It's just whether Sheffield will be able to build up the damage to actually counteract that beat armor.
Rampage would have been so good against this composition.
Ooh,
the reliance on sustain. The Grav comes in, but it's just completely encapsulated by the beat from Ventrum to keep them nice and healthy as they're banded together. But that means there is a blade that can come out late from Arcturus. Smart finding a pair as well. And the Graviton surge from Jack, the damage was just not able to be capitalized upon due to that beat from Ventrum, and they just outlive it.
Yeah, Jack now switching over to the Reinhardt, switching off of that Zarya, and now it's going to be a lot more scary if Smog gets that Rampage online to get rid of that anti. However, Reinhardt seems a lot more forward-facing with this punch.
Yeah, but the Reinhardt just gets completely ignored. This is the danger of this kind of hero and this composition. I actually think they kind of counter-swap themselves, I believe. Reinhardt gets completely crunched by Junker Queen. If it's not Reinhardt, it's the rest of your team behind that big German man.
Pushing.
But hey, Jax doesn't care. The push is still actually going on, 85 meters. Sheffield are winning the fight, but getting 10 extra meters there thanks to the Genji of Archers could potentially just be game winning.
Yeah, that extra 10 meters could genuinely be the difference between a win or a loss here for Reading. And like we said in the start of this series, if Reading win, then they just stop Sheffield from being able to enter the playoffs. And I mean, that's the kind of thing that Reading clearly want to do.
Yeah, Reading are looking for blood here. They're going for it. They got their eyes set on Vulcan every time. Smog goes for the Moira, so good on this Junker Queen. Say what you will about the balance of the hero, the power of the hero. Smog is making it look as broken as it ever was. Once again, the carnage has come out from the Junker Queen onto Brave Wave. No support for Sheffield. They've got to do it. They've got to do it fast, and it's going to need ultimates. 2 ultimates committed. The Shatter plus the Blade actually might be enough, even though they lose Vulcan first. So in the flip, in the down fight, University of Sheffield, yes, they commit ults, but they stay alive and they keep that push rolling.
Scary thing for Sheffield here is they want to get this push forward, but at the same time, Reading are going to be regrouped and they're going to be re-engaging fairly quickly. And I mean, Sheffield aren't going to have the players there. Plenty of ults online for Sheffield though, as that Death Blossom is almost online there.
We finally do have a mirror of the Reapers, so both of these teams are going to be brawling front to back. That's a much better rampage than we saw the first time. Vulcan once again, no fade, completely one-shot. The anti-heal onto Jack isn't going to do much. The sound barrier comes in. But Hydra in. Finds 2 with the Genji. Kyo is going to have to respond. It's going to have to be big. But that 2 that came from the Genji was enough. The rampage perfectly carving through University of Sheffield, and from there the DPS cleaned up.
Kiora is so lucky to get away with their life there, just like peeking that Genji and getting down to 3 health off of just random spam. And that would have been a big stagger if that had happened. See, the Coalescence probably going to be used to engage here.
Yeah, the Coalescence is so good, it means it's Smog is even tankier. On top of a commanding shout,
nice
all the sustain, all the beef. Nice pin from Jack though to completely isolate the Junker Queen. Can they save?
Oh!
Looks like they do. The sound barrier is perfect. The commanding shout as well, still available. And Kiori just collapses on them. It is a collapse on a collapse. And the blade is pulled out from Archers just for good measure. The bell rings, the team kill, and Reading. Great response after the pin comes in from Jack onto their tank.
2 minutes 20 on the clock. They've got a Shatter and coming up on a Blade for Sheffield, sorry. And realistically, this is looking like it's going to be a hard situation for Sheffield to pull back. Reading did a really good job in that last fight.
Yeah, they're going to have a free Shatter now to go in with, so Jack is absolutely going to be looking for that. It should be all about the Reinhardt. They are the win condition. They managed to just knock down the Junker Queen, but that is all that they need. Fury, though, in the back line, going to have to be a problem, going to have to be cleaned up, and cleaned up they are thanks to the opposite Reaper of Ruben. Jack finding sarcastic, so now no Moiras on the side, and as the kills come through, Ruben, Reaper Diff still alive and keeping Sheffield in this game, but it's those 10 meters, isn't it?
Yeah,
that's the
I was
difference
just
so
about
far.
to say, though, that 10 meters that they pushed extra has actually made such a massive difference. Sheffield would probably be in the lead right now, and there's still one more fight that Sheffield need to win to even take the lead away from Reading right now.
They'd probably end up taking it. No ultimates for the side of Reading. They've got to do it in the neutral fight. I think they are favoured in a no ultimate world 5v5, but even still, the Reinhardt is a pest to deal with. It is a pest for Ruben. That shield is going to be keeping their backline so healthy as Vulcan has been falling over a little bit too much in these fights. Hydra, though, has got the blade, going to pull it, can't go in because they're just too low. They need the heals. It's a zoning blade by the very essence of it. Can they find the Moira? No, both fades from Fiore and Sarcastic are committed, and Smog re-engages with an ultimate of their own, but Ruben decides to keep this fight going. 2k on the Death Blossom, perfect 2k. The Genji and the Junker Queen, the front line is down. This Coalescence is a bit of a prayer from Sarcastic, but it might work. It's actually mirrored by Vulcan too. This is a crazy fight. So many ultimates committed, but Sheffield, they keep matching and matching, and well, they might be able to get themselves the point percentage as 30 seconds left is on the clock.
Sheffield are probably going to take the lead here, and with ultimates like Shatter and Beat online, this is going to be a really, really hard fight for Reading to be able to take back. And realistically, 16 seconds on the clock. This is going to be so hard for Reading. And if Reading manage to pull this off, they fully deserve to win this map. But this is so looking like it's going to go the way of
Oh, the shatter is pulled. It only manages to find one. Luckily, the pin is cancelled, but one is all that they need. Remember, I think they've lost Brave Wave in this fight, but they didn't care. The shatter comes down. Ruben and Hydrin completely overwhelming, and I was really questioning this Reinhardt pick into the Junker Queen, but that shield allowed them to establish themselves, and most importantly, establish Hydrin and Ruben and Sheffield are going to tie this series up, and they look so good on Esperanza here.
Yeah, the Reinhardt pick actually changed how they played that composition into the Junker Queen, gave them that extra bit of survivability, which they didn't seem to have on the other compositions that they tried.
Look at Hydrin.
What a nice play. That's really nice Genji play. And I mean, yeah, that whole time Reading were getting a little bit of push, but yeah, Sheffield doing a really good job to pull it back there and even up this series 1-1. And I mean, yeah, I can't really put into words how Sheffield managed to do that. It looked so one-sided for the most part of the series, and then Sheffield just managing to scrape it back.
Yeah, so let's talk quickly about the way in which I believe, anyway, that interaction between the Reinhardt and the Junker Queen should work. I think not only should the Queen be able to quickly establish herself behind the Reinhardt shield, the Carnage obviously is not blocked by that barrier from the big German man, which means that the Junker Queen has access to her passive, that bleed, to not only slowly cleave down the Reinhardt, but to give herself a lot of sustain over time in tow with that Moira healing as well. The Junker Queen effective HP should shoot up with access to that bleed passive, but it just felt like Smog was unable to get to the backline once that Reinhardt was picked. They were completely rolling over Vulcan there on the Moira before that Reinhardt came out, but after it just felt like maybe there was a little bit of a mental block. Maybe they just couldn't. Maybe they were in by themselves, and that meant it was harder now for the Genji and Reaper to go in with that Junker Queen. It completely changed the style at which Reading Knights were playing. And Sheffield, did they find the counter pick? Did they find the answer? Because they were down so many. It was 80 meters to 40 meters at one point on Esperanza, wasn't it? And
yeah.
Reading,
I mean,
they didn't quite throw the lead. Sheffield just outplayed them in so many fights to pull it back.
Yeah, I mean, very well played from Sheffield to bring that back there. We will be heading to a quick break before we finalize this series. It is a best of 3, so there will be one more map, and we will be going to hybrid. But I'll just leave it in the air of you can guess what map we might be going to. So yeah, see you after the break.